Now, I'm sure you've heard of Among Us. I mean, it's all over YouTube. One search will get you hundreds of thousands of videos on this one single game. It's so widespread, you see it everywhere. You go. I mean, it's quite metal. I mean, really. Regardless of this, the game has quite the underlying themes that I think no one else has really noticed whatsoever, which is the real point of this video. So, I've gathered a few ideas, which, like I just said a few seconds ago, I don't think anyone else has really noticed. Not even MatPat. Yes, John Game Theory himself missed this one. Unbelievable, I know, but it's true. I mean, these are the same guys who did a video on Mario being a communist. It's quite crazy, actually. Anyways, really the main concept or idea is that, well, believe it or not, Among Us is a political commentary. Now, I know this sounds like it came out of Crackhead Central, but trust me on this. When you really boil it down, it breaks down into a couple of main concepts, which will be explained throughout this video. With that in mind, society is rooted in games, memes, and media. You see it pretty
Imposter? Is this the imposter?
Especially in Among Us. Well, what does society in Among Us even represent in the first place? If you look at the definition of a society, it's people living together in a more or less ordered community. If you think about it, Among Us has an online community. One might say a very split community between people who just want to play as the crewmates with some imposter gameplay and people who just want to play the imposter. Sickening, I know. If you really think about it, a society runs on one thing: people. In short, the players of Among Us represent the people. If you've ever played this game, you're part of that ever-growing society that is Among Us. Now, what do the Among Us players even represent in the first place? Well, as you know, in Among Us there are crewmates and imposters, and it may seem it doesn't go any farther than that, but it does, and I'll tell you how. So, like I just said, society is filled with people, aka crewmates and imposters. Now, you can take that idea and boil it down even further. Now, you may be asking, how does it go any further? Well, these crewmates and imposters represent the Republicans and Democrats. I know Amongst Us isn't the first game to do this, but I mean, this kind of shit dates back to Red vs. Blue. I mean, you could even say it dates back even further to the Bible, and I'm not the only one who thinks that. If you've ever seen this, then you know how this is quite the crazy concept, but trust me on this. Crewmates are your, everyday person trying to conform with society and exist with the other people in their circle as best they can. Crewmates only want peace and for things to remain the way they are, since it works and it's the best for the current situation and time. Crewmates will always want, and always will want, a greater, brighter, and overall happier future. They frame their mind to see it all. Republicans only want the best for society and only think for others, not just themselves. They were also very well known to be trustworthy when compared to the dirty Democrats. I mean, their positive influence can be seen even after death. Now, personally, I like to play as the crewmate than the imposter, since I like the act of doing tasks, which helps contribute to the Among Us ecosystem and society. Now, listen, I know the meme is that Red is don't think it, don't say it, don't think it, don't say it, don't think it, don't say it, don't think it, don't say it. Sus. But in reality, blue is sus. Blue's the color of those dirty Democrats. But I'm telling you right now, once you understand this stuff, you will never misunderstand it, and you can never unsee it. That's all I'm saying. Like I'm telling you, once you get this stuff, you just get it. You don't unget it. Like, it's in your cells. It's in your brain. Once you understand this stuff, you never misunderstand it. That's all I'm saying. So if you want to understand this stuff, then you can understand it. But once you get it, you get it. Like, you can't unget it. Okay? Like, you just get it, you get it. Okay? Like, you're not gonna unget it. Like, you just understand it. You can't misunderstand it. That's all I'm saying. Okay? So if you get it, you get it. If you don't get it, well, you're gonna get it anyway. So it doesn't matter. Okay, you're just gonna understand it. But that's all I'm saying. Red is sus and blue is sus. This is Biden's America. Remember what they took from you. People who like to play the imposter are a special breed of people. It's kind of people who want to see the world burn in front of their eyes. These filthy imposters only want chaos, as they only think for themselves and are very selfish compared to the average crewmate. These imposters often twist the truth to fit their liberalistic agenda, just like the Democrats, those dirty, 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 disgusting, filthy Democrats. Those Democrats are often a bunch of betraying bastards. Of course, everyone who has played, or to say the very least, watched a game of Among Us knows that everyone who is playing will either play as the crewmate or the imposter. Now, what does that have to do with anything? Well, everyone at one point will go to the dark side and become a imposter. And it's sad to say that I've also gone to that dark side and become one of them, or an imposter. I know it's disgusting, but it happens to the best of us, and it's something about it that just takes control over the human mind and body that makes the average crewmate or person do something might not have wanted to do in the first place, like vent or kill someone. So, what even is an imposter? Well, they're a sick, twisted, disgusting human being who craves on the death of their fellow members. Now, let's say you stated that the Democrats were not sus. Well, then I would cut you off and say that you are factually and politically incorrect. So, hypothetically, if everyone is the imposter, then who is sus? Well, the Democrats would be sus. Now, let's say that you stated that the Democrats were not sus. Well, then I would cut you off and say you were factually and politically incorrect, mainly because the Democrats have always been sus. You know, there's just something about playing the imposter that just takes control over the human mind and body that makes the average crewmate or person do something they might not have wanted to do in the first place, like vent or kill someone. Who would want to take control of your mind? Well, the developers at Inner Sloth intended Among Us to be a political commentary and wanted to implant their sick, twisted, liberalistic ideas into people, and it's disgusting. But the devs at Inner Sloth aren't Democrats, but they are. Let me tell you how. Now, Among Us boomed in 2020, so did the Democrats. So what does that all mean? Well, the Democrats helped push Among Us's popularity into the mainstream, which is why the devs are Democrats. Now hear me out. What if the White House shut down because the Democrats sabotaged the House using the imposter's technology? Wait, what's that? Yeah? Uh-huh. Oh. Oh no. Do I even need to say anything else? These bastards were in on it the whole time. The Inner Sloth devs structured this game after the Democrats. No wonder there are sabotages, which the Democrats are known for, might I add. And, oh, how could I forget? Remember emergency meetings? Those aren't meetings, my friend. They're debates. Their plan was to make these innocent players, or their people, they're doing this to their own fan base, crave the imposter just to taint their mind with sick thoughts. I mean, how could they? Because they're dirty Democrats, that's how. The maps in Among Us have a certain details and underlying lore that is hidden and almost invisible to the naked eye. So what you're about to hear is confidential information that the Democratic bastards at Inner Sloth have been keeping away and hiding from you all this time. The 4 maps in Among Us carry a story to them, which is all connected as well. If you look at Mira HQ, it may just seem like a tall building, but it's actually the Democrats' attempt of making a fake heaven, which is why it's so high up in the clouds. The Democrats realized they couldn't get to heaven, so they decided to make their own despite God. Inside this fake heaven are poor Republican crewmates in their cages, zoos, forcing them to watch CNN as well as other liberal media, while also being experimented and tested on within the facility. The airship was the Republicans' attempt to escape the Democratic haven that was Mira HQ. Eventually, the Republicans split into 2 teams, both working on plans that would help them escape the fake heaven. Team 1 planned on how to escape and get away as far as possible, while Team 2 figured out what they would use to escape, as trying to escape on foot would lead to immediate failure. They were not the only ones to try to escape. as the group before them attempted to escape on foot but tragically failed. So, Team 2 decided on the airship. After gathering their plans, they shortly left. Once that fateful day did come, where everything lined up into place, they made their escape. The airship they made it onto. Once that fateful day did come, where everything lined up into place and they made their escape, they made it onto the airship and made their escape. You just said that! Why are you saying it again? What they didn't realize was that those Democratic dickwads had upped their defense. Sadly, the airship they had taken was a newer model, which was not the one they had been hoping for. Now that they were won the airship, they tried to get as far as possible. But alas, the ship was taken from the inside, and the few survivors, which there were only 8, were sent to Polis. Polis was a jail built by the Democrats, made for the Republicans. If the prisoners didn't do what they were told, they were shortly thrown into the lava pit. Sad and heartbreaking, I know. But there was always hope for the future, they felt, realizing that there was a ship on the northern part of the prison that was left open. They figured that was their last and only option, so they took it, not knowing it was a trap set up by the Democrats at Polis. Skeld is a very interesting place, as the technology inside of it was far greater than anything the crewmates had ever seen before. More advanced than anything in the fake heaven, for that matter. It seemed so new, yet empty and abandoned. It was strangely the only map on Among Us with a cross in its design. It might have been the reason why it was so abandoned. Since the Democrats couldn't handle its holiness, with 8 of them there were suddenly 2 more people, even though most of them remembered and knew that only 8 survived. It seemed there were imposters among us. So what Biden's America will eventually become if we strong Republicans don't get up and do something. If you've ever taken a look at the words crewmate and imposter, you'll notice that they both have up to 8 letters in them. This is because the imposters are using the same disguise technique that the devil once used all the way back in Genesis to gain Eve's trust. So if you deconstruct the word crewmate and imposter and line each of the letters up in the word with their corresponding number, it may seem like nothing at first. But when they are added up with the numbers, when the numbers are added up with the 8 letters from the words crewmate and imposter, you get the numbers 96 and 123. Take those numbers and subtract them by one another, you get the numbers 27. Now, looking back on it, Innersloth formed in 2015. If you take the number 2015 subtracted by 16, which is taken from the 8 and 8 from the words crewmate and imposter, you get the year 1999. Which is the year of the Antichrist War, which begins and lasts 27 years. The Among Us devs are telling this story, or attempting to tell the story, of the Antichrist War. This war began at Mira HQ, where the Democrats were having the Republicans offer themselves to create their fake heaven. Now, how does this relate to anything? Well, if you take the word Republican, which has 10 letters in it, take the number 10, divide it by 2, get the number 5. Now what does that mean? The number 5 represents God's grace, which the Republicans are full of compared to the Democrats. There are 5 offerings that appear throughout Leviticus, which are the burnt offering, sin offering, trespass offering, grain offering, and the peace offering. These offerings were used to create the Democrats' fake heaven, which retroactively started the Antichrist War, which then begins the story of Among Us. You see, Among Us was not only a political commentary, but a religious one as well. So, I've been talking about Among Us for all this time, and you may be wondering, now have I even played this Among Us? You may ask. Well, no. Now do I even own this Among Us? yes and no.